Hola, bienvenidos to your best channel for moving to Mexico, Mexico Relocation Guide. My name is Mariana and today's video is all about Guadalajara. The city is well known for its uniqueness in a lot of aspects, lots of history, great food, very warm people, an awesome artistic community, lots of sports, and a lot of things to do. There are beautiful landscapes, and it's truly a cosmopolitan city. Fun fact, I was born in Mexico City, but I was raised in Guadalajara before we moved to Texas. So Guadalajara has a special place in my heart. So why don't we get right into it, starting with some basic history of Guadalajara. Now, Guadalajara is located in the state of Jalisco in western Mexico. It's the state's capital and the second biggest city in the country. The city sits in a valley at an average altitude of 1,500 meters above sea level, which is a little bit over 5,000 feet. And this provides not only a temperate climate ranging between dry and cool, but provides a beautiful green landscape almost all year round. Its history is complex and rich, and before the arrival of the conquistadores, this region was predominant by various ethnic groups, but none of them were sedentary enough to stay and establish settlements. So the region saw a few migrating tribes like the Tecos, Purépechas, and Huirrárica. During the conquest, the city of Guadalajara was founded 4 different times. Yes, you heard that right, 4 different times. Starting with Nuño de Guzmán, who was in charge of conquering this region. In 1532, he founded the city of Guadalajara, which derives from the Arabic language and translates to river of stones, river that flows by stones, or fortress in the valley. Nuño de Guzmán was originally born in Guadalajara in Spain, so he decided to name the new city under the same. The new settlers kept moving the city around for different reasons until they found the perfect place just ashore the San Juan de Dios River in 1542. The region of what is now known as Jalisco was called the Kingdom of Nueva Galicia, which was also part of the New Spain territory, but remained an autonomous entity until the centralized government of Mexico City. In 1560, the Crown declared Guadalajara the capital of Nueva Galicia, which gave way to an era of prosperity and thriving for the city and its inhabitants. Guadalajara has always been a crucial part of the development of Mexico since it witnessed major events, battles, and changes throughout history. But nowadays, Guadalajara stands out as one of the most progressive cities in Mexico while remaining deeply connected to its colonial heritage. So what can you expect if you're a foreigner living in Guadalajara? Well, Guadalajara actually stands out for its particular blend of its conservative colonial heritage and the progressive spirit of its inhabitants. The historic downtown is a beautiful statement of the old days, presenting a variety of architecture ranging from the 16th century to the 20th century, with a notable influence by the different Catholic groups that operated in the city. On the other hand, as the city spread out, you can notice the ever-going spirit of progress and modern architecture, not only in the urban landscape, but in its local community, that is always striving for a multicultural and inclusive city, where everyone can coexist in harmony. As the second biggest metropolis in Mexico, it won't be unusual to find all kinds of ethnicities and nationalities here. The immigrant population has been growing here for many years and for many reasons. To name a few, we can say that it's a privileged location and weather makes it a magnetic place to come and stay. The city also has a great offer when it comes to lifestyle and accommodations, almost at the same level as Mexico City, without the excess of 20 million people on top of one another. The economy of Guadalajara has been growing exponentially, creating opportunities and jobs for national and international immigrants. It's actually known as the Mexican Silicon Valley, as well as internationally recognized for its innovation in software and tech. And if that's not enough, the community in the city is warm, welcoming, and regardless of where you're from, your age, or preferences, for the most part, people here are happy to help and seem to enjoy getting to know outsiders. Learning Spanish would be a plus and a sign of respect, of course. However, you can navigate the city with the basics, enough to ask for food, pay for your groceries, ask for a taxi, and that sort of thing. What we know as Guadalajara is actually a metropolitan area that consists of 5 municipalities or boroughs, which are named Guadalajara, Zapopan, Tlaquepaque, Tlajomulco, and Tonala. We could say that the best municipalities to live in are either Guadalajara or Zapopan. And it's not that the other ones are not nice, but you would probably be on the outskirts of the city and would have to commute constantly. Rents could be cheaper in Tonala and Tlaquepaque, and you can find really nice neighborhoods and communities there. Just consider that you'll have to commute. Now, in a big city as Guadalajara is, it's fair to imagine that there are countless neighborhoods or colonias, each one with different amenities. So to make things really simple, we're going to just basically lump up all the neighborhoods that we recommend into one big urban area that spreads between Guadalajara and Zapopan. This entire territory comprises the neighborhoods of Colonia Americana, La Moderna, Santa Tere, Ladrón de Guevara, and Colonia Villaseñor. Don't worry, I'll include the spelling for each one of these in the description. Now, you can find a lot of rental options here, whether you're looking for a small cozy apartment with a nice view, or you're more into a big home with lots of space. That will be a great place for you to look into. Have in mind that the area of Colonia Americana has always been aimed at upper-class citizens, and the surrounding neighborhoods like Santa Tere or Ladrón de Guevara have gone through a process of recent gentrification, meaning that prices are on the rise. However, rents are still way more affordable in comparison to the United States, Canada, and even Mexico City. For instance, a one-bedroom apartment with a small kitchen, living room, one bath in a building with nice amenities like 24-hour security could cost you around 12,000 to 15,000 pesos a month. That's about $650 to about $850 a month with the current exchange rate. There are more affordable options, but you would be either giving up space or amenities. You can also find 2 to 3 bedroom homes for rent starting with 25,000 pesos and up to 50,000 pesos, which is roughly 1,300 to 2,700 pesos, US dollars a month, Sometimes less, sometimes more. Again, it depends on the amenities and the location. Now, on the west part of the city and surrounding the famous Minerva, which is a famous Guadalajara landmark, are the colonias of Vallarta, Monraz, Providencia, and Chapalita. The neighborhoods here are a bit more family-oriented, and that's why you have more options with big homes, with big front and backyards, with lots of space. There are also homes on high-rises in the area that provide great amenities and really nice view. It just depends on your preference. Prices here are very similar to the ones in Colonia Americana. For example, you can find a 2-bedroom unfurnished apartment starting at 14,000 pesos, and then you have 3 to 4 bedroom homes that go for 30 to 40,000 pesos a month, which is roughly 1,500 to about 2,000 US dollars. Now, understand that Guadalajara is a big city, so it's hard to set a price average as well as tell you the best places to live in a city of 5 million plus people. It all comes down to what you're looking for. Now, of course, there's more to Guadalajara than the areas we just mentioned. That's why I recommend a relocation tour. And we have recommended relocation tour guides in Guadalajara that can show you around places based on your lifestyle, your budget, and then some other things that you want to have nearby. They have no agenda to sell you any real estate, so you can truly just sit back, learn what truly living in Guadalajara is like, get your questions answered, and not have to worry about a sales presentation. The link for those relocation tours is in the comments down below. Now, the process to rent in Guadalajara can be a bit tricky. Nothing out of this world, just be prepared to come up with several documents and sign a lot of requirements. Now, normally a landlord asks for things like an aval, which means it's a person who can vouch for you in case you don't pay your rent. The tricky part is that the aval needs to be someone who owns property within the metropolitan area of Guadalajara. In many cases, rental agencies will offer a legal document instead of an aval, which is called a póliza jurídica. This is a legal guarantee that makes you responsible for any damage to the property, as well as guarantees your monthly payment to the landlord. That document is not the actual lease and agreement, which you would also have to sign along with your landlord. And most likely they will ask you to sign papers called pagarés, which are basically also guarantees that each month you will go ahead and pay your lease. But not all realtors are familiar with this process. That's why it's important to know who you're working with and how much they know about the rental process in your local area. Check out my list of questions to ask before renting a place in Mexico. That link is also in the comments. Now, basic services in Guadalajara are pretty well covered, especially in the neighborhoods we recommend. You should have no sudden shortages. Although sometimes for maintenance or other issues in the city will shut off the water or electricity for a short period of time in a specific neighborhood. But don't worry, your landlord or the city will inform you of this in advance. There's a Metropolitan Commission in charge of regulating and collecting your water payment called the SIAPA or SIAPA. They send a monthly bill that goes for about 300 pesos a month. Electricity is paid every 2 months like the rest of Mexico. You'll receive a bill from the CFE or the CFE, and it shouldn't exceed 400 pesos a month for a 2-person household, but of course it depends on how much electricity you consume. Gas is provided by several companies. However, one of the top ones we recommend would be Zeta Gas. You can call them and ask them for a new tank or refill your stationary tank. And for about 750 pesos, you'll get enough gas for a 2-month period. Internet is provided by the 3 biggest Mexican telecom companies, which are Telmex, Izzi, and TotalPlay. The packages range between 350 to 1,500 pesos a month. It just depends on your internet speed. There's also Starlink, which runs about 1,100 pesos a month. Now, I'm going to dare to say that by now Guadalajara has started to grow on you. But I still have a lot more to show you, because we're trying to help you live like a true local in the city. And a major aspect of the local lifestyle is related to where to buy and get your goods. So let's dive into the endless options provided by Guadalajara. As always, my first recommendation for getting all your groceries, including food and household goods, would be to go to the local markets and mercados. I don't get tired of saying this. In these markets, you can truly find everything you'll need. And one of the perks of living in a city like Guadalajara is that these mercados are better provided when it comes to diversity and quality of products. This is a metropolis, so there's a great number of local markets. But the fact is that each neighborhood or urban area in the city is provided with at least one of them. Now we can name a few so you have an idea of where to go. There's the famous Mercado de San Juan de Dios, located in the east end of the historic downtown, which is actually the biggest under-roof market in all of Latin America. I mean, it's huge. It spreads a total of 4,000 square meters or about 43,000 square feet and hosts over 3,000 stands. So it's fair to say that you can find a huge variety of products ranging from food, handcrafted items, candy, local foods, and everything you can imagine under one roof. There's also Mercado Corona, just a few blocks away from the cathedral on Miguel Hidalgo Avenue, a traditional one in Guadalajara, since it's one of the oldest and most important. The building has been a victim of several fires, unfortunately, the last one being in 2014, so the infrastructure has been remodeled and now looks like really modern, giving a mall-like vibe. There's also Mercado Santa Tere, in the neighborhood with the same name. La Central de Abastos is a bulk market offering the best prices in the city. Mercado Alcalde, Mercado de Mezquitan, or the Flowers Market, and a lot more to mention. Once again, it will depend on the area you live to localize your local or closest market. But the best thing about these markets is that compared to smaller towns, here you can find imported products pretty easily. So in most cases, it won't even be necessary for you to go around the city to find specific things or brands from back home. For example, in case you're looking for something that isn't found in one of these tianguis, mercados, or any one of the options that I just gave you, there's always big box supermarkets all around the city, like Walmart, Fresco, La Comer, Soriana, Chedraui, Home Depot, Costco, and more. You also have several big malls in the city. Andares is one of the biggest and nicest malls here. It hosts a lot of international brand stores. There's also Galerías Mall, La Gran Plaza, Midtown Mall, just to name a few. So Mexicans really, really like to shop. Also, each urban area has countless strip malls offering all kinds of convenience stores, bakeries, hardware stores, and everything for your daily life. Now, if you're not into the mainstream brand, this city is well known for being home to recognized fashion and industrial designers. So there's a surplus of showrooms and clothing boutiques in many areas of the city, especially in Colonia Americana, Chapalita, or Providencia. You'll find a lot of these boutiques. Also, you can visit one of the towns that are part of the metropolitan area named Tlaquepaque. Its downtown is beautiful and it offers great shopping. Whether you're looking for clothes, shoes, leatherwork, or maybe you're just trying to find trinkets for your home or designer furniture, this town will have it all. Getting there should take you no more than an hour by car, depending on traffic. Remember, this is the second biggest city in Mexico, so it will be super easy to find anything you need for your basic needs as well as for fun. If you still can't find certain things, there's always Amazon Mexico. Amazon Mexico works very much like Amazon in the US or Canada. However, they have their own warehouses around Mexico. Check it out, amazon.com.mx. So how do you navigate this big metropolis? Well, it's going to be fairly easy. First of all, consider the extension of the city. Guadalajara has spread out quite a lot, so whenever you're getting around to a different area or a different municipality, just be mindful of the time. You can run into a lot of traffic jams. Now, when you're getting around your own neighborhood or your own local area, you can consider the various means of public transportation. One of them is the bus system, which does a fairly well job of connecting almost all urban areas in the city. The cost is very inexpensive. Each bus ride is around 9 pesos and 50 cents. There's also a recently built subway system, or as the locals call it, Tren Ligero, which has 2 lines and the third one is under construction as we speak. So far, the 2 existing lines connect north and south of the city and west to east. Keep in mind that the subway system is still in development, so if you're going a long distance, most likely you'll want to change lanes at some point, maybe even take a bus or walk a few steps. Now, in the city, Uber, Didi, and InDriver work pretty good. So in case you're in a hurry or you're trying to get a more comfortable ride that's private, you can download any one of these apps, and depending on the area you're going to, your ride shouldn't cost any more than 100 to 200 pesos, which is around $5 to $10 a ride. Now, if you want to own a car, the procedure is the same as any other part of the world. Either you can go directly to a dealership and get a new car, or if you're on a tight budget, you can get a used car. Just make sure that all the car's papers are in order. Normally, you need to know if all taxes are paid that are either called tenencias or refrendos. Also, that the car is working fine. And check that the seller is transparent with the transaction. Once you get the car, the previous owner needs to sign the rights of the car to you. In Spanish, we call it endoce de factura. Then you need to go to the DMV or Oficinas de Tránsito in Mexico and change the legal ownership of the car under your name. Now, how do you get to other countries? Well, Guadalajara has an international airport offering flights to the US, Canada, and Europe, as well as all kinds of domestic flights to pretty much any state in Mexico. There are also 2 main bus stations in the city for long-distance trips to surrounding cities or town where it's not worth taking a flight. One is in Zapopan, and the other one is in Tlaquepaque, where you can take a bus to any other major city in the west and central Mexico. So now that we have the basics covered, what about healthcare? The first thing to consider to enjoy good health is having an active lifestyle, of course, in any area you live in. You'll find a great number of gyms, functional training, yoga classes, Pilates, and everything you can imagine to keep your body working well. However, if you are feeling ill, you can always rely on the small consultorios scattered all around the city. These are normally attached to a farmacia or pharmacy. These pharmacies are usually Similares, Farmacia del Ahorro, San Pablo, or Benavides. Any of these pharmacies can offer a private consultation. Nothing fancy, just a quick checkup in case you're feeling ill or have a minor infection. They charge around 50 pesos or $2.50 for the checkup, and if you need medication, you can get it directly at the farmacia. Also, there's a lot of private practitioners in the city, so it won't be hard to find specialized doctors here. You'll find everything ranging from mental health doctors to oncology. And hospitals here in Guadalajara are truly first class. You have several options from public general hospitals with affordable prices and a big list of specialties offered to private hospitals like San Javier or Hospital Terranova, which provide more amenities and all kinds of services and specialties. Some of these private hospitals should work along with your medical insurance if you have it. However, if you don't have medical insurance in Mexico, know that most hospitals do expect at least some form of payment up front before they will treat you. Now, it's almost impossible to get bored in Guadalajara. And that's because Guadalajara is a city that appreciates culture, arts, and everything in between. You'll find a large number of museums, mostly in the historic downtown, as well as art galleries scattered all around the city. You have the MUSA, which is Museo de las Artes. It's owned by the University of Guadalajara, and it's one of the most active museums in the city. It always offers beautiful and intriguing expos, as well as its permanent murals painted by the famous muralist José Clemente Orozco, an icon of the state of Jalisco since he was born in Ciudad Guzmán, a little town just about an hour away from Guadalajara. You can also visit the government palace, supporting murals from Clemente Orozco and some other expos in its alley. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, El Hospicio Cabañas, or Museum Cabañas, which used to be an orphanage back in colonial times, but now it's one of the most precious and well-preserved museums in the city, also working as a canvas for the frescoes of Clemente Orozco, as well as counting several halls with temporary expos all year round. So basically, the historic downtown is a breathing museum with lots of history and vastly rich in its architecture. Other noteworthy buildings would be the Cathedral Degollado, El Expiatorio, just to mention a few, as well as many squares where you can find lots of street food vendors, traditional restaurants selling the many delights of the local gastronomy, like tejuino, which is a Jalisco traditional drink. You can also find tortas ahogadas, which you will find them everywhere you go in the city, tacos de birria or barbacoa, carne en su jugo, as well as all kinds of traditional Mexican food from other regions. You can treat yourself in many of the neighborhoods of the city, like Colonia Americana, now recognized as one of the coolest neighborhoods in the world. Here, you'll find a lot of coffee shops, art galleries, clothing boutiques, bars, restaurants, and everything you want. Or you can go to Providencia or Chapalita, where you can find a very similar vibe to Colonia Americana. Now, if you feel like getting out of the city without actually doing it, you have to go to Tlaquepaque and enjoy an afternoon there. You'll find a variety of restaurants, cafes, lots of art, handcrafted items, all kinds of boutique stores. It's just an amazingly beautiful town. Now, if you like road trips and you want to get out of the city, Jalisco has several pueblos mágicos, like Mazamitla, Tapalpa, which are south of Guadalajara about 2 hours away, both of them being small colonial towns where you can rent a cabin in the woods and walk around finding all kinds of restaurants and beautiful alleys. Now you can also visit the biggest lake in Mexico, Lake Chapala, which is well known amongst the expat community since it hosts a lot of foreigners that fell in love with the place and stayed to spend their retirement years. On the shores of Lake Chapala, you will find a lot of small towns like Chapala, Ajijic, Jocotepec, San Juan Cosala, Ocotlan, and many more. Each town has its own unique vibe and style. And to the north, there's a famous region called Los Altos de Jalisco, or the Jalisco Highlands, where there are several colonial towns with lots of history and delicious food, like Lagos de Moreno, San Juan de los Lagos. And going west, there's the international town known as Tequila. Now, if you didn't know this, the famous drink has its origin in Jalisco, and it's named like that because it was born in the town of Tequila, where the main component is grown, which is agave azul or blue agave. Here you can walk around and have a cantarito, which is a traditional Mexican cocktail. And if you're feeling like giving yourself a beach getaway, well, you're only a few hours away from the world-famous beach town of Puerto Vallarta. Guadalajara is also the stage of major cultural and arts festivals, such as the International Book Fair or the famous FIL, which is La Feria Internacional del Libro. There's also an international film festival held every year that has been gaining prestige and recognition from the other major festivals around the world, although recent news from the government threatens its existence. There's a constant flow of national fairs and festivals like Fiestas de Octubre, which is held, as the name suggests, every October and hosts a great number of national artists and performers offering concerts, plays, and all kinds of scenic arts. Now, being in a major city, lots of world-famous musicians and bands decide to include the city in their tours through Latin America. So there's a solid scene when it comes to concerts and music festivals in Guadalajara. I know I said it's almost impossible to get bored in the city, right? But hang in there. This is one of those cities that never sleeps. Nightlife here is amazingly vibrant. You have endless options that will match not only what you feel like doing, but we dare to say whatever you're looking for in a night out. There are different areas in the city offering bars, nightclubs, show venues, party expos, dance halls, and everything you can think of. I mean, if you really love the night, Guadalajara is a great place to live. Well, that was truly an amazing ride, huh? I hope you feel the same way and that you're already picturing your life in Guadalajara. I think it's very clear that this is a wonderful place that has a lot to offer. You have amazing food, warm people, a really nice vibe, beautiful culture, precious traditions. I mean, what are you waiting for? Great weather. As always, we did our very best to show you all the ins and outs of the beautiful Pearl of the West, Guadalajara. I would like to know your honest opinion though about these and all my videos. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon in our next Mexico relocation guide. Again, my name is Mariana and it was a pleasure to have you today. Nos vemos muy pronto. Hasta luego.